Um, okay, I'm back live on YouTube. So here we go. Pop out chats. All right. How do I store materials? I just have them in a drawer on my tying desk. I also have a plastic tub for my bigger materials. It's just like a plastic tub, like it's one of those drawer tubs that you could get at Bed Bath & Beyond or any kind of store like that. I just store like my bigger hackles that I can't put into the drawers. For my smaller stuff like this, like, you know, my chenilles or like rubber legs or stuff like in smaller bags, I have in just my drawers in my desk. I keep them in the bag. You know, for instance, my pheasant tail, I keep them in this. It is a nice, dark, dry place in my office. The tub is just like a plastic tub. It's not like it's airtight or anything like that. But it is somewhere that I tie my stuff. Now, I am going to try, you know what, let me cut these legs first. I am going to try to tie, oh, Jesus, that scared me. There we go. I am going to try to tie let's see it done now. Picked one of these. Cut those there. You know what I should have done? I should have tied knots in the rubber to make leg joints. I might do that for the next one. Might do that for the next one. All right, so there you go. It's a big mamma jamma. All right, now I'm gonna try to do this dry right now. Now, I'm warning you, it's difficult. This is the first time I ever tied foam. So if I mess up, I mess up. Now I need to take this off, and I'm going with the olive. I'm using 3O, by the way. Nice thick. You could use anything more than that if you like. Just make sure it's nice and thick, whatever it is, just so it could withstand some tight wraps, because you're going to have to kind of get in there for the foam a little bit. So once again, bear with me. There might be some thread breakage going on with this. The foam is sort of a pain in the butt, not gonna lie. So, all right. Dave, are you back in here on the YouTube? By the way, I saw that after I turned it off that you asked a question about, I'm gonna go ahead and get this ready. Ooh, that's a little much. Bent that a little too much. I'm gonna have two things available. Dave, are you back in here, by the way? Ah. On YouTube, you were asking me what Scott rods that I have in the back. I didn't answer you. Well, I guess you weren't in here when I was talking about them, so. Oh, Jesus. Okay, So I have that ready. I'm gonna also need a couple more materials here. This. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. So this is the biggest pain in the butt. Is the foam pieces. Now, I used 3 layers of the foam. Now, we'll just keep that one out, I guess. Now for the foam, what I did is I just used just regular foam. I don't even know what the thickness of that foam is, to tell you the truth. Of course, I don't even know where my foam. Maybe I need that too. Oh, here it is. This foam is, doesn't say how thick it is, but it's pretty thin. Now what I did for the original is I did 3 layers of the foam. Here I just did 2 tans and a black. This time I have a tan and a green in the middle and then the black, just to give it a little bit more color. Now after you zap it, I just zapped them together. And once you zap them together, what I did is I used just like a little template piece of paper and I traced it. Once I traced one, I just put it on top and I kind of cut it around to get the general shape. By the way, Dan the man, I'm just doing a dry. I'm just doing a dry for, give me a second here. Share the new link on Facebook. I'm just doing a dry salmon fly. I just did the nymph version of it, of my salmon fly, and now I'm just doing it dry. This is literally the second time I've ever tied a foam pattern, let alone this foam pattern. So bear with me. I just need to make these for my trip. So I thought I'd do it live. Okay. So the key to this is after you glue them all together, just kind of, you have to shape it a little bit. And what I did is I just took some scissors, preferably not your scissors. I have these craft scissors. These are made in Japan and they're like super nice for craft stuff. And you just kind of, like trim out the sides here like so, you know what I mean? Like that, get it nice and rounded. Another thing you want to do is trim out the edges. So like, the top part, so it's not like squared. So just cut it at an angle like this to get it so it's a little bit more roundy, like on the edges there. So you don't have these hard edges. Okay, once you do that, you want to cut a slit. And I go all the way down to the next layer. I just did that with an X-Acto knife. Cut a slit down the middle. And then you're wanting to put that inside of the hook. So you just want to get it in there, work it. Which way is my front and the back? There we go. So you just want to get it so that it sits inside of that slit you just made. So what you do, take a little zap. Actually, before I do that, so I want to put, I can't remember if I put the thread in there before I did that. I want to say I did. So before I do that, I'm going to put some of this thread on. I am just going to do just a loose wrap all the way across, back across to a little bit behind the hook eye. Now I just want to zap it. top here of the hook. Now take your cut foam piece. Which way is my end? There it is. And just kind of split it open a little bit and nestle it in there. And you could like just squeeze it over, fold it over and just squeeze it in there. I'm just gonna let that sit for a bit. All right. It's pretty good, I think. Just let it sit there for a little longer. I have a second camera, but it is my my Instagram camera. I mean, to tell you the truth, you should be able to, you know, I will do another official tying video with like an actual camera. This is just, I mean, this is a nice webcam, 1080 webcam. Even so, you can't shoot 1080 for a live feed for some reason. They only let you do 720, which is ridiculous to me. But you can do it if you do it in certain ways, but not when you're doing it through Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts only allows 720 for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I don't think, I mean, granted, a little closer would be better, but if you can't understand from the explanations, then I want to say that maybe you should start off with easier buys. If you wanted a step-by-step thing, just wait. I'll bring out another video for that. Also, yeah, you can go to places like Tim Flagler, Tightline Production. He does a very good, very close. I mean, you know, there's so many of it. In the Riffle does great fly tying videos. Brian Weiss of Fly Fishing Ozarks does great streamer videos. Plenty of places that you can find tying videos. I'm not necessarily a tying video channel, so it's not really my concentration. But I do have a camera that has a macro lens, so I probably might do a couple patterns, especially the salmon fly pattern with an official video. But, all right, anyway, I think that's good enough. And now this is the part where I have broken my threads before. Just gonna do a couple wraps to make some segments here. And then go across and a couple wraps here to make a thorax. Okay, that actually went better than I thought it was gonna go. All right, so what I did is I just did a couple wraps this way and then literally just go right over the top and do a couple wraps that way. I'm also gonna do a couple wraps and go back across so there's like an X over the top. So a couple wraps this way, go over, couple wraps this way, and then I'm gonna go back over this way and a couple wraps. But once I get all the way through the segments, that's when I'll go back over. So then what I'm going to do now, let me see what I did with this one. Yeah, I went all the way first. That's what I thought. So then, you know, a couple wraps, go over. Now a couple wraps to make another segment. Go over. A couple wraps to make another segment. Go over. Actually, you know what? I need to move that hook a little bit. Just so I have a little bit more room to work with. There we go. Couple wraps there. Go over. Couple wraps there. And now, this is where I come back across to make the X on the top. All right. That was fairly painless. Okay. Now, that looks pretty clean underneath. Now all I have to do is add the wing. Very easy. I also have to add the legs. So what I'm going to first do is the wing. So actually, you know what? I'm going to start that at this front part. I'm taking I'm taking this Crystal Flash. And if you notice any kind of wing or something like that, just gives a little bit of flash on it. If you look at wings, they do kind of have like almost like a clear iridescent-y look to it. The actual wing does kind of mimics that with a little bit of Crystal Flash. I'm literally just going to take a couple strands of it out there. I shouldn't have yanked on it like that. There we go. Now I am going to take half of those because I'm just going to V-tie those. So take about half of them. To tell you the truth, I could probably cut that in half. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Cut these in half to make 2 sets. So then I'm going to take about, looks like I have like 4 strands, which will become 8 strands, because I'm going to V-tie these to the top here. Now let me know if you don't know what a V-tie is, and I could explain that. All right. I'm just going to cut those off here to the end. All right. Those will lay down in a second once I wrap back over. Now I want to get this black here, and I'm using this Enrico Puglisi, just the EP fiber. It's fantastic stuff. Just pull a nice little clump of it, size of the fly. I'm gonna cut that there. You can just, for working with purposes, just make it longer and then cut that if you want. I like to try to cut it just a little shorter to save waste. So I'm going to put this right on the top here. Tie that down. I'm going to cut out the excess here. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit. Ooh, I just grabbed all that fiber by accident. I'm going to take a little bit of this natural. Man, no matter what, man, I just think deer hair stinks. It's not a pleasant smell. I want some of these natural colors. Get a nice little clump of this. Okay. There we go. that bad boy right over the top as well. Secure that. Cut off the excess of this. Okay. Okay. Little haircut. All right, now what I'm going to do is use just a little bit of this. This is Senor Laser Dub, but actually before I do that, I'm gonna just bring this around just to tie it down right here towards, I'm gonna do the same thing I did and just do the cross wrap just to make a little bit of a hump there, and that secures it down much better. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a whip finish and just finish this off right here. But I'm going to show you, oh damn it, got stuck there. Get off, there we go. Now I had this already prepared. I'm going to use this orange just to make a little collar hothead. Also use a little bit of this, not only for the hothead, but just as like a slight, tiny indicator or a sighter. Kind of like a post, but also just to accentuate. And I'm literally just going to almost like ball it up. Now I'm going to take this thread. What I like to do for this is after I wrap it a couple times, I like to bring it forward, then wrap it a couple times, then backwards, wrap it a couple times before I snip. Now I'm going to take just like a ball of this. And to tell you the truth, that's probably too much. Just want it nice and subtle. There we go. So I'm talking at the slightest pinch. Ball it up. And then I'm just going to put it right on top and just tie it down. Like so. I'm building up a decent little collar there, just so that you can see it from the bottom side. I'm just going to do another 5. Ooh, I got out of control there. All right. Bam! There we go. That's it. Now you just have this little post. Just trim this a little bit, just for a little bit more visibility. If you look at a salmon fly, they do have an orange collar. So I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of this hydro. There we go. Just to give it a little bit of durability. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to marker the bottom a little bit with a Sharpie, just so that it's not this bright tan color underneath. Something that you might want to consider. just give it a little bit of pattern. If you look at the underside of a salmon fly, you'll notice it's not a solid color at all. It's got a lot of pattern to it, and it's a lot darker than tan. It's almost brown, so I'm going to make this almost like a brown color. But you can see the segmentations from the thread. And there you go. There's another salmon fly. Oh my God, I did it again. I forgot to put the legs. Jesus. So it's supposed to have legs. Oh, that's awesome. I could add them right now. Might as well. Oop, that ended. So you gotta start the live feed over. Where's my green? There it is. So since I just brain farted and forgot the legs, I'm just gonna do the same thing here. Bring to the front. Wait, why is that? Where is that coming from? There we go. Test at the back. It's secure enough. Knit that close. A couple more ties. Now, the legs. Since I brain farted on that one, take out just one strand for the legs. Whoa. There we go. Now, once again, I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to turn that. Okay, I'll V-tie this on one side. V-tie and then separate, tie it a couple times there. V-tie on this side. Separate, tie it a couple of times this way. Now whip finish all the way from back here. The legs all up in your way here. Let's put a pain in the butt here. Okay. There we go. Now I have legs, which I was supposed to have in the first place. I'm going to hit this with some glue since I have another tying point. Okay, so now people are asking, let me go to some questions here. Dan the Man, the reel's okay. I have the 4280 right here. This is my 4280. Nice reel. I use it for bigger fish. My 8-weight, obviously, since it's the 80. Looks like you're getting it for your 5-weight. I think it's overkill, is what I think. You don't need this reel for a 5-weight. If I were you, I'd look at a click and paw. Something, you don't need that fancy of a drag system on a 5-weight. You're never going to use it. So it's a great reel. It looks great. The thing I don't like about, I guess there's nothing I dislike about it. It looks good. That's critical for me. Sounds good. Great. The drag knob is a little tedious because it's like kind of, I mean, I like the star shape. I do like it's numbered so you could kind of see where it is. But I just don't think that you need it for a 5-weight. If I were you, I'd look at something that's a click and paw. My reel of choice is right here. Once again, Colorado LT. Sounds better. Don't have to mess with a drag knob because it's a click and paw. You just use your hand to slow it down if you need to. This is the silver. You get it in black as well, but here I could probably get a better view of it. But that is what I'm talking about right there, man. That's what you want to get. Yeah, I fold, you know, no, I completely, I wasn't trying to diss your suggestion. Just when I use if I do the live feed, and I've tested this before with a DSLR camera, it's a pain in the butt. And you have this super duper voice lag so that it doesn't match the movement, that doesn't match the video. So basically the voice doesn't match the video, and it looks like you're watching a Kung Fu movie. And even so, I'm Asian, it looks weird. So I decided to scratch the whole DSLR thing just because it just was kind of annoying to have a little bit of delay in the volume or the voice, or the audio, I guess. Now, Jarrett, what's going on? The target species is anything, cuts, bows, browns, anything's going to eat the salmon fly. The salmon fly hatch is just a big hatch that a lot of people want to catch because it is so big. And these big fish come up for them. Why? Because it is a big meal, you know, and it's like a big steak to them. So they want a piece of the action. So they come up for them. You know what I'm going to do with this fly? Now, you know, another thing, I am also going to end this video just so that I could just put this video up as a short video. I'm going to come back on here and start tying again. Everybody just give me a second. I'm going to reset everything. I will keep your questions up. Let me just answer, I guess, these real quick, and then I'll just restart the video. Like I said, I just want to make the video so that it's a shorter video. Some of these, like the last time video, was like 2 hours long, and I just tied for the first, 10 minutes. So the rest of it's just me jibber jabbering. Yeah. So no, Jared, actually, that's incorrect. It is not for salmon. It's actually just called a salmon fly because that's actually the name of the fly. It's not meant for salmon. I don't know the scientific name, but it's just called the salmon fly. If you look up salmon fly, and I'm not talking about traditional, the wet fly, I'm talking about just the salmon fly. It's a really big bug. There's a couple of great videos on the salmon fly. Matter of fact, Catch Media, which is Todd Moen, has a great salmon fly video. I know that Montana Wild has a salmon fly video, but it is like a big 2-inch huge fly. Same with the nymph. The nymphs are huge. So the trout, big trout, rainbows, browns, cuts, come up to eat these things because it's just such a big fly, such a big meal. You can catch a big 30-inch fish on the salmon fly hatch. I mean, obviously you could catch a 30-inch fish in any hatch, but the big boys come out. The average is bigger than smaller. So I'm going out there to chase the salmon fly hatch. There's like a 2-week window where you could catch it. Usually it's in between May and June. So that's why I'm going for 2 weeks. I'm going for the last week of May and the first week of June. I'm hoping to catch it somewhere in between there, either the beginning or the end, or I hope the whole way through. That would be the ultimate thing. But you can never predict hatches. It just depends on the weather. It depends on how much snow melt. It depends on how cold it is or how hot it is. It just depends on so many factors. You know, I'm guessing that in the 2-week window, I'm at least going to see them. So it's more prevalent in there is a rumor that there's some salmon flies on the East Coast in the West Branch of the Delaware. I've never seen it, but I know for a fact that Montana, Idaho, Montana especially, is huge for the salmon fly hatch. I'm going to be in both Montana and Idaho. I'm primarily going to be fishing it on the Henry's Fork, and that's where I'm going to try to catch salmon fly hatch. It's a little bit different times in Montana, and I don't know when it is on the Madison, but I would assume it's pretty close, considering the Madison's only like 45 minutes away from the Henry's Fork. But the Henry's Fork is coming from a tailwater, which is Henry's Lake. Now, I want to say it depends on where you are located. There's a couple other dams as well, so you're going to deal with several dams. So it just depends on what part of the river on the Henry's Fork you're on is when the salmon fly hatch is going to occur, especially also with any stream. Location could be key. Could happen on one side of one section and not happen on the other. I've seen it before in the Henry's Fork where there's like a huge hatch going on the upper and a different hatch going on the lower and that kind of thing. There could, on the Henry's Fork, there could be several hatches going on at the same time. So West Virginia hunter Dylan Merrill is, Elk River's okay. It's on the list. There's a couple other streams in West Virginia that I'm more interested in than elk. But I am going to plan on going to the elk maybe this year at least once. Or not elk, sorry, West Virginia at least once. Yeah, exactly. So Dan the Man 7624 is just said it exactly what he was looking at the Sage 4250. Once again, it's a great reel. But he's on looks like the San Juan River, and he even said it. He's like, click and paw, check. I hardly use the drag on the Juan. And yes, I need a Ross. So there you go. I would go with the Ross Colorado LT. Now, there is a Ross Evolution R. If you're really interested in the drag, here's my Evolution R. Fantastic reel. Now that is one hell of a reel, but the reason why I like this is because of the drag knob. Now you notice that the drag knob is this entire piece here, and you can do it by your entire hand. You don't need to necessarily use your fingers to get in there. As a matter of fact, it's so easy that you could even just use your pinky to tighten it or loosen it. You don't have to like turn this knob. So that's really helpful, especially if you're, all season angler, you got gloves on, those big gloves, it's really hard to turn any kind of knob. You can just use your palm and turn it, the entire disc. It's a part of the actual reel. This has got zero startup inertia, basically. It just came out last year. It's milled out of a solid block of aluminum versus some of the other reels are pressed, kind of just like a mold. So it's a big difference as far as durability is concerned. I just need to turn that off. That is my doorbell sensor picking up critters, I think. But like I said to you earlier, the Colorado LT, I like it because it's a click and paw. It sounds great, and that's what I like about it. Looks great too. I think those are the two main things. Since you're hardly ever using a drag system, I think that it should aesthetically be pleasing to the eye and also sound great. The thing is though, like let's just say a fish does finally get into your backing, or I'm sorry, into your reel. This is what you're going to hear right here. And that is the sweet, sweet sound that you're waiting to hear. You know, also it just looks fantastic. Now, Sage does make a click and paw. It's called the Click. It does look pretty good, although that's what I mean by a pressed reel. It is not milled out of solid block aluminum. It's kind of like melted and then pressed together. It's not quite as solid as the Sage. I mean, as the Ross. So another thing I like about Ross is a real company. You know, they don't dabble with rods and that kind of stuff. So 100% of their R&D and 100% of everything goes to the reel. They don't make anything else. They don't even make nippers, you know, like versus Able. Able does have reels, nippers, forceps, and that kind of stuff. Not that the nippers are fantastic. Matter of fact, the Able nippers are what I use. So, you know, not knocking that. But what I'm just saying is just like Sage puts a lot of money in, and a lot of R&D goes to their rods, which is why their Sage 1 is really good rod, which is why their Sage X is a really good rod. They're more known for their rods more so than their reels. I've never seen one of their reels win any kind of awards. You know, I'm sure that they have. I've just never seen. They're just really not known for their reels. But Ross, on the other hand, are only known for their reels. So that's what I suggest. I didn't know about this. Ooh, you didn't know about Eiffel. You didn't know about the Salmon Fly? I don't know what that is in context to. Sorry about that. Because I just keep rambling and then all of a sudden. So Barbershop is asking if do I prefer if you view in YouTube or IG? That is a complete preference to you. You know, some people like IG. I mean, especially because it's closer for stuff like this, even so it's at a weird angle there. But some people prefer looking at on IG. Also, it's the way, like, you know, if you're on your phone, I don't know how it looks on YouTube, but on your phone, especially if you're on mobile, I think it's better experience on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you guys could tell me that better than I could. I hardly ever do live feeds or watch them. I've only participated in like maybe 1 or 2 live feeds. And I believe that I was using my phone and it was through Instagram. So, you know, if you're sitting around and just messing around on your phone, that's probably better. If you're sitting down watching it, maybe it's better on YouTube as far as the experience, user experience is concerned. Actually, maybe you could put some insight on me on that. I've heard both. Some people say I prefer Instagram. Some people say I prefer YouTube. I usually do a Facebook feed on my Fridays. Every Friday at 8 p.m. I do all 3. So yeah, see, there are ways to view the Instagram, by the way, on your computer. You can download a Chrome plugin. Just Google Instagram Chrome plugin, and you can actually view not only stories but live feeds from your browser. So you might want to check that out. So if you're really interested in doing the live feeds on your desktop, just download the Chrome browser. It can only be in Chrome. I mean, just not only download the Chrome browser, but you have to download the Chrome plugin. So just put like YouTube, Chrome, not YouTube, sorry, Instagram browser plugin or something like that. And you could not only view live feeds, but stories as well on your browser. So a couple more questions, and I'm going to end this YouTube video. So this guy right here, Dan the Man. Oh, sorry, it's the same person as part. He's been using the click and pull from Walmart at $21, including a fly line and leader in New Mexico. Looks like he catches big fish in New Mexico. One thing I do suggest, Dan, is that you upgrade. Now, I'm not saying you could keep that reel. That's not the problem, although the fly line is critical. The fact that you're using first of all, if your reel was $21, your fly line's got to be even cheaper than a couple dollars. You know what I mean? When I first bought my Clearwater outfit, that's a $300 outfit for rod, reel, and line that gets you on the water. Now that's a pretty expensive, well, that was actually my first rod, my first outfit. Now, my fly line ended up cracking and it was sinking the tip of my fly line. So I went to the fly, just a, fly shop, and I wanted to upgrade. So I went with the Rio Gold. At the time, they didn't have the In Touch. I went with the Rio Gold, and that was like an $80 to $90 line, and I was like, whoa. And it was hard for me at the beginning to justify paying a third of my price of my setup for the fly line. I get that. You can now get it on Amazon for much cheaper. You could get some Rio Gold for like 40 to 50 bucks, which is great. I mean, put it this way, if you get the Clearwater fly line in the store, it's going to be 40 bucks. I think it's like $39.99. So the upgrade, when I changed it over to the Rio Gold, it was like I had a brand new rod. It casted completely different. The load was different. I could shoot the line now much further. I could cast it with better accuracy and further. You got to realize that the rod, the fly line is what casts your fly out there. As much as the rod maybe can help a little bit, the fly line is the critical part. That's where all the weight is. That's how it loads. Their fly line is what loads the rod, and allows it to sling it forward in a forward momentum. So obviously the right casting stroke, but if you don't have the right line, it can make a world of difference. That's why they do have weight forward versus, I'm drawing a brain fart right now, but I use weight forward. I like to shoot my line, which is a lot of the weight forwards is a little bit better for shooting line. So that's what I prefer. If I were you, I'd at least update your fly line. I don't know what kind of rod you're using. My guess is if you're using a $21 Walmart, is you're not using that much of an expensive rod. Although if you're talking about looking at the 4250, that's like a $300 reel. So I want to say that you must have a pretty decent rod. If not, my suggestion is if you're, instead of buying the $350 reel, get the $350 rod, and you keep using that Walmart reel and put some new fly line on it. That's it. I would put more money in your rod than the reel any day of the week. Your rod is going to make a much bigger difference than your reel is going to do it. Like you just said yourself, you're on the San Juan, which has big fish, and you hardly ever use the reel. I guarantee I catch 20+ inch fish and I hardly get taken to the reel. The only time I even get taken to the reel is like when the fish goes into hairy water and the current takes the fish, not because of the fish itself. And I just let it run, because if I try to hold my ground, it's either going to A, break my line because of the water, or B, it's going to just wiggle off. So I'll let it run through the fast water real quick. I'll chase it down usually and try to get it into softer water. But hardly ever, because of the fish itself, do I get taken to the reel, let alone to my backing. I've only seen my backing one time, and that was just, once again, it's because it got into some fast water and it just took off with the current, and I had to just let it go. So, matter of fact, you could watch that happen on the Holston River. And the funny thing is I thought it was a big fish because that sucker was fighting. And it was like, ended up being like a tiny, not tiny, but, you know, I'd say maybe a 15, 16-inch fish, you know what I mean? But it was fat. But it was like a maybe 17 or 16. So that's what I would suggest. Think about that. What's up, Harry Fly? Let's see what's going on over here. HT Smith is asking where I get my fly tying stuff. Everywhere. I like going into shops and just picking through stuff, especially trade shows. The trade shows is where you get the good stuff. A lot of people that don't sell mass just sell their merchandise during some of these trade shows. And I'm telling you right now, it is a huge difference between even bucktails. And I'm going to just show you a difference right here, actually. Give me a second. I just got to open up this box here. Okay. Now this right here is a premium quality tail versus a store-bought Orvis tail. Not only is it bigger, and I get probably twice as much, but as you could see here how much softer it is. This tail is super soft. I'm talking just super soft. And look how long these fibers are. It's huge. You're talking like, you know, fingertips here versus this is like tiny. It's like real small compared to this, you know, I mean, it's way bigger than my finger. So this is a premium quality bucktail. I got this at a show from a guy that only sells during the shows. I can't tell you who it is because it's kind of a secret. He doesn't even show these. You have to ask for them. And I felt like I was buying, not that I know, but I felt like he was making a drug deal because he was like, you know, it's like, hey man, you got the premium stuff? And he's like, you want the premium stuff? He's like, yeah, I got some premium stuff. And then he's like digging through the back. He's like, check these out right here. I'm like, this is so weird. But it was awesome, you know. And this guy, like I said, doesn't sell online, only sells in the shows. You could go to, he was at the fly fishing show in the Somerset. Oh, now it's going to be Edison, New Jersey for next year. And he was at the Atlanta show. I don't know if he's at the other shows. So that's the thing, you know, you're going to for instance, the Denver show, I bet has its own local guy that makes some killer stuff. So you want to check out your shows, your local shows. I've also got some great hackles and stuff like that, you know, that they're just loads of it. And that's kind of the fun part too, is like digging through, finding some guy you like. Maybe you can build a relationship with them and then buy online with him, you know, maybe not. For instance, this guy does not, but I guarantee the first booth I'm going to go at the New Jersey show is straight to his booth and buy some more of his premium bucktail, just because I can't wait to tie some, you know, some streamers and stuff with that bucktail. It just has a fantastic movement. It's so soft. You could tell a difference when you touch it. Some of the dyed tails just have like almost like a film on it. It makes it kind of sticky and really rigid. So this one, he like uses like conditioner. He dyes it himself. He like babies this stuff. He was even combing it when I like walked up to his booth and you know, with like a hard wire brush. And I'm not talking about like gently. I mean, he was like whoo, 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 just getting in there with one of those dog wire brushes. So yeah, I'm on the big screen in his living room. That's awesome. I got the first spool of Cortland line. Improved my cast immediately. Yep. So here you go. See, even the barbershop saying that when he bought Cortland line, he saw a huge improvement in his cast. So that's what I mean by Dan the Man. You might want to consider a line upgrade. I think that would help you out tremendously with your cast. Also, once again, I don't know what your rod is. I don't know if you're even still in here, considering you haven't said anything in a little bit. But if you're talking about thinking about buying a $300 reel instead of your upgrading your reel, maybe do the upgrade on your rod. Let me know what kind of rod you have. So maybe that you upgraded your rod and you're still using that cheaper reel. I don't know what your situation is. Let me just answer these questions right here. Do I tie streamers with that tail? Yes. Is the W4F team here? Question mark. What do you mean by team? My ambassadors, or just people that are always on my live feed? What rod would I recommend for stock trout? That rod makes no difference. You're not going to be able to catch. It's just like this. Just because you have Steph Curry shoes on, you're not going to play basketball any better. Same goes with the rod. Your experience might be better. For instance, like you have a pair of Jordans versus some Joe Laps from Walmart. Obviously, it's probably going to be a little bit more comfortable. Maybe when you're running with it all day, it's not going to give you blisters. So your experience will be better. The casting will probably feel better. You could probably cast a little further. Not probably, most likely, versus like a crappy rod versus a premium rod. Obviously, your casting is going to be better, but that also has to do with your fly line. You could use the best rod and have a crappy fly line. Is a huge difference between the premium fly line. So what rod could you use for stock trout? What I always tell people when everybody's trying to choose a rod is not necessarily what kind of fish you're fishing, except for more like where are you fishing is the first question. Are you doing small streams? Are you doing large streams? Second question will be, what's the primary average size of your fish? If you're catching dinks all day, and your average size is like 4 inches, you don't want to use a 6-weight rod. You want to probably get a 3-weight, maybe a 4-weight, even a 2-weight possibly. You could think about getting a glass rod. You could think about getting a softer action rod. For instance, like the Douglas Upstream. That's my go-to rod for small streams. But if you're fishing large rivers, like the San Juan, or like, Dan the Man is still here. If you are fishing like West Branch of the Delaware, Green River, Henry's Fork, in Idaho, stuff like that, you're going to want a bigger rod, like a 5-weight rod, something a little bit more overall. And that's another question that I have. I have a lot of questions when it comes to, what kind of rod are you trying to get? Okay, so Dan, I see your thing. You have a decent rod. So I see why you're trying to get the upgrade in the reel. So there's so many questions, what kind of fish are you trying to target? What kind of style do you fish a lot? Do you use streamers? Do you not use streamers? Are you interested in throwing streamers with it? Are you primarily dry fly guy? Are you a nymph guy? Are you going to be fishing a heavy nymph rig, for instance, two tungsten bead heads and weight and indicator? If you're that kind of fisherman, you don't want to use a 3-weight or a 4-weight. Maybe you want to think about using something a little bit more oomph in it, and using the 5-weight, using the 6-weight. Or even buying, if you're a nymph guy, you might want to think about using a 10-foot rod. That's another thing. So a Leyland, 8-foot 5-weight. Yeah, I don't know anything about Leyland or Leland rods. I'm sure it's okay. 8-foot 5-weight probably is really punchy because it's short. I'm guessing it's a little faster action than a 9-weight. Are you saying that the rod is $200, or are you saying that you're looking to spend $200? But price sort of important. Obviously, you're going to get a better rod when you're spending $900. But you could get a decent rod for $100. You know, the Echo Base is a fantastic rod for $100. You could get a DXH Douglas for like 170s. You get a DXF for like 375. You can get gotcha, the rod was $200. You could get like, you know, much better rod like the Sky for like $675. You could go into the Asquith territory where you're going to the $1,000 range, or even like, you know, Sage 1 or Sage X, $900. Winston B3X, $900. You know, those are your top of the line rods. But a good thing if you want to do is what you probably should do is go look at the Yellowstone Shootout. Yellowstone Shootout. Look at the 6-weight shootout. Look at the 5-weight shootout and see what rods are in there. The reason why I say look at the 6-weight shootout is because last year, the new rods that came out, for instance, Douglas Sky, the G. Loomis Asquith, the Sage X, the Winston Air, all those came out last year and towards the end of the year. So a lot of the 5-weight shootout didn't have any of those rods in there. So the 5-weight shootout is a little off on the Yellowstone Shootout last year. Yellowstone Shootout happens every year mostly, where they're comparing all the new rods. They especially do it when there's a slew of new rods that came out. Last year, there was a bunch of companies that came out with new rods, which is why they did the shootout again last year. The 6-weight shootout has them all. So look at the 6-weight shootout. 2 of the rods I mentioned are in that 6-weight shootout. DXF, which is what I use. I use the DXF 10-foot 4-weight for nymphing. That was 2 years in a row voted best overall mid-priced rod. The Douglas Sky won the 6-weight shootout, and that was also above the Asquith. So that's food for thought right there. All right, once again, I'm just going to answer these couple questions right here. I'm going to restart the feed. I shouldn't have went this far with it. I just wanted to finish some of these questions just in case it had something to do with this tying, but most of them aren't. So the Codfather is asking, how do I grow wish for fish? Is it my full-time job? Yes, it is my full-time job. I'll answer that question when I restart the feed. Mike, what's up, man? Just received my Rio Gold. I can't wait to receive the new rod. Mike, I'm going to send you a message. I'm really sorry about this, but there was a miscommunication between me and Douglas. They're sending me a bunch of rods, so we were communicating about my rods. So he was confused that he thought that I was going to receive my rods and then send you the rod. But then he didn't realize that you ordered the rod and then they were supposed to drop ship it. So I was like, hey, give me the tracking number. He gave me the tracking number and it was my rod. So I was like, wait, I got that yesterday. He was like, oh, you wanted me to drop ship it? He's like, there was so many emails going back and forth, Mike. I completely apologize. But they apologized as well. They're going to send it out first thing in the morning tomorrow morning, and I will double check on that to make sure. They were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're going so back and forth, so many emails. I was confused on what was exactly going on. So Mike Allen, your Sage DXF will be arriving this week. Will be sent out Monday. It was a miscommunication between me and Douglas. So my apologies, Douglas apologies, as far as the rod's concerned. You will be getting it this week though. My guess is probably Wednesday or Thursday. Because they're going to send it out first thing on Monday. So, pair fishing, what do you get with the perks when you donate? You know what? I could send you some stuff if you donate. That would be greatly appreciated. You know, look, this stuff, the YouTube is concerned. I don't make much money off of the YouTube. I make a little bit through advertising and stuff like that. But YouTube, I do it for you guys. You know, that's how this channel even started, or that's how Wish for Fish even started, was kind of just to give back. I kind of enjoy when I make a video, people ask me questions or I get a response like, hey, I just caught this fish by using a thing you tied, or by using some of the techniques I learned from your videos. I look at this as my first fish I ever caught on a fly rod. This is my biggest fish ever caught on a fly rod. Some of those stories I even repost on my social media. because that's kind of what keeps me going. That's kind of why I started Wish for Fish. When I uploaded my first video, I got a lot of response as far as, oh my God, what were you using? Where were you at? And it was just cool to just, you know, talk fishing with somebody. So anyway, once again, let me end this feed right here so I could put this video up for this dry fly, and then I'm going to restart it once again and just start tying flies again. So I will be back. YouTubers, give me a second. Instagrammers, you can